Hello children, how are you all? I hope you all are hale and hearty, you all are fit and fine. My name is Tanya Sharma and I welcome you all to the Knowledge Planet powered by Physics Wallah in the Success Ultimate Recap batch. Let us start the chapter. Today we are doing another chapter of political science and the chapter's name is What is Democracy? Why Democracy? Let us start the chapter without wasting any time. Right. So now let us discuss what all we do in this chapter. What is democracy? We need to understand what is democracy. It is a type of government, we all know, but exactly what is there in the democracy. What are the features of democracy? We'll do the major decisions taken by elected leaders. We'll do the stories of different countries of Pakistan. Then we'll understand free and fair electoral competition. Then we'll understand what is one person, one vote and one value. What is rule of law and respect of rights, case in Zimbabwe. And why do we need democracy? What is the broader meaning of democracy? First of all, when we see this picture which is there on your screen, what will you see? You see some leader is there, one king is there, and there are some of the people there and one ballot box, right? So here this signifies democracy. What does democracy mean? Democracy is definitely a system of government. It is a system of government, okay, or it is a type of government. What kind of democracy, what kind of system is that? Okay, and what type of government is that? So democracy definitely is a system of government, or democracy is a type of government. Democracy is a type of government in which rulers are elected by the people. Rulers are elected by the people. Elected by the people. Alright, simple definition of what is democracy. Democracy is a system of government in which rulers are elected by the people. Let us see, democracy is a form of government. It is a form whereby the rulers are elected by the people. Simple definition, form of government whereby in which the rulers, obviously they are elected by the people. People are electing them. People are electing them through the process of election and they are coming in the power, and that is why this system is known as democracy. Right. Now these are some of the examples which differentiates democracy with the other forms of government. Now, dictators like Pinochet are not elected by the people. This also applies to monarchies. Now, when we talk about dictators, when we talk about monarchies, whereby we talk about the kings and queens, what happens there? This actually system not applies. The democratic system does not apply to the system where monarchies are there, where kings and queens are there, where their leaders actually are dictators, right? So this system does not apply to those countries. Now the kings of Nepal and Saudi Arabia rule not because the people have chosen them. People have not chosen them. They are the leaders because they happen to be born in the royal family, because it is done with hereditary system, generation after generation. Right. So this is what we understand by democracy. It is a system of government whereby rulers are elected by the people. All right. Now we will see some of the cases which are given in your NCERT, and then we'll go to the point what happened exactly and what are the system which is followed in the system of other countries. Now what happened hereby? We have General Pervez Musharraf. So General Pervez Musharraf brought a military coup. Okay, who is this person? This person is known as General Pervez Musharraf. Okay, this person is General Pervez Musharraf. So hereby we will do 2 to 3 stories. Okay, hereby we will do 2 to 3 stories, and these 2 to 3 stories will let us know what kind of government and what kind of government democracy looks like and how people perceive them. Because in application, in their theoretical nature, okay, it seems where only elections are there, that is democracy. No. So democracy is a lot more than what we see in this simple definition. Right. So what happens in 2002? We have General Pervez Musharraf. Okay, this person's name is General Pervez Musharraf. He brought a military coup, and in this military coup, what he does, military coup means he brings military in the entire country and disregards and removes the actually elected government. Okay, so military is all over the country General Pervez Musharraf brought a military coup. Military is all over the country, and with this military, what happens? He removes the elected government. Already elected government was there, so elected government is now removed, and who is there? Here we are talking about General Pervez Musharraf. Then what happens? So, and he declares himself the chief executive of the country. After bringing the military coup, he declares himself as the chief executive of the entire country, and again he changed his designation and he suddenly becomes the president of the entire country. Okay, so first of all he brings the military coup, the entire military in the entire country, and removes the democratic elected government as they suggest, and after that he says that I am the chief executive of the entire country, and later he changed his designation and he says that I am the president of the entire country. Alright, so now let us see what happens in Pakistan. Then what happens? Okay, after that in 2002, what happens? In 2002, a referendum of the country. Now, because he is not the leader, he just becomes the leader and he self-proclaims himself as the chief executive of the country, then president of the country, but no one has chosen him. So in that case, people are not happy with him. So in that case, in 2002, he held a referendum in the entire country and granted him 5-year extension. Now, what is a referendum? Referendum is a universal voting. Referendum is a universal voting. In this universal voting, what happens? In this universal voting, what happens? That either there is a voting where you're not putting votes, there is only a voting whereby the answer comes either yes or no. So what was the question here? The question here was, do you see General Pervez Musharraf as the president of the country? So the answer has to be either yes or no. So most of the people wrote yes. So which means when people are writing yes, they see them as the president of the country, so which gave him entire extension of 5 years. But most of the people were sad because according to them, they do not want to see General Pervez Musharraf as their president. So what happened actually? Why the answer came out to be yes? So the answer lies here because a lot of people, Pakistani media, human rights organization and democracy activists said that this referendum was based on malpractice and fraud. So a lot of people say that this is based on mere malpractice and fraud, whereby nobody wants to see him as their president. But yes, what happens here in the referendum, the answer came out to be yes. So a lot of people felt that this was based on mere malpractice and mere fraud. So this is exactly what happens in the referendum. So Pakistani media, so here people, who are the people, this might come in MCQ, Pakistani media, human rights organization and democracy activists, they feel that this is actually based on flaw. This is actually based on, we can say, malpractice. All right. All right, my dear students. Now what happened? Let us see. Okay, so now in August 2002, what he does now in August 2002, after having a lot of things going on in the country, he issues a legal framework order. Now, when he is issuing a legal framework order, what does that legal framework order mean? Now, when he issues the legal framework order, by this legal framework order, he is giving himself a lot of power. How he is giving himself a lot of power? He is giving himself a lot of power by amending the constitution. Amending means either putting a change or upgrading things new to the constitution, or removing things. Amendment means either of the three things. Either you are changing it, either you are upgrading it, either you are removing it. So now what does General Pervez Musharraf wanted to do? In August 2002, he issued a legal framework order which said that, by this legal framework order, he amended the constitution of the Pakistan. Now maybe he wanted things to move in his hands, more control in his hands. So president, now what was the thing that he amended, and because of this he got more power. Because of this, increased more power for the president, and the president was General Pervez Musharraf. Let us see what happened. So president can dismiss the national and provincial assemblies, whereby he gave himself more power, by which he will dismiss the national and provincial assemblies. All those assemblies which were built already by the national is for the entire nation, provincial is for the regional, he will dismiss all these assemblies, whereby he is giving himself more power. Now let us see what happened with this. Now earlier, so this was one thing he did. Now second thing was, earlier the work of civilian cabinet. Now civilian cabinet means not from the army. Okay, not from the army, not from the military, we can say. Not from the military, they were civilian. So now because General Pervez Musharraf had its own military, so he wanted everyone, every person to have control under his military or himself. Now this was the second thing what happened. So second thing was, first of all, the president can dismiss the nation and provincial assembly, whereby he gave the power. Okay, president can dismiss the national, whereby he gave himself the power that he will dismiss all the ministers and dismiss all the assemblies which already were built. Secondly, what he wants to do is, the work of the civilian cabinet is supervised by National Security Council. Now civilian cabinet were earlier, if we talk about civilian cabinet, they were ruled by one, we can say, authority that was known as National Security Council. Now what he has amended by now, which is dominated by the military office. Now this will be dominated by the military. So ultimately the civilian cabinet does not mean, not from the military, which means they are, by the name itself they mean civilian, but they are dominated by the military officers. Again the control is in the hand of the military. So now what is the third thing he is going to do? The third thing, elections were held to national and provincial assembly that were new, because earlier which were built before, when General Pervez Musharraf declared himself the president, the earlier national provincial assemblies were dismissed by the president. So now he wanted to elect the new ones. He wanted to do elections and wanted to appoint the new ones, wanted to have elections. But these elections definitely did not have any value, because the ultimate power was in the hands of military officers and General Pervez Musharraf. The ultimate power rests with those with the military officers and General Pervez Musharraf, which gave us the first idea of democracy, that democracy first of all does not mean elections, and democracy also means the ultimate power is either with General Pervez Musharraf or will the military. Okay, there are other things, civilian are there, civilian cabinet is there, but they are ultimately controlled by the military. So what is the learning of democracy from this is, the final power must rest with those who are elected by the people. The military is not elected by the people. General Pervez Musharraf himself is not elected by the people. So let us go by the first, and I want you all to write the first point, whereby we understand in democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. Okay, so this is the first part which we understand. This is the first part which is, again, we can say the first, we can say, feature of democracy. This is the first feature of democracy. Okay. So this was the story of Pakistan. I hope you have understood the story of Pakistan. Now which after writing this, I want you all to write this down either in the comment section, or in your notebook. Okay, so please write this down. Repeat once again. In a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those who are elected by the people. Okay. All right. So I'll revise once again. Okay. So so this was in October 1999, General Pervez Musharraf came, he brought the military coup, elected the government and removed the elected government. What happened? He declared himself the chief executive of the country and designated himself as the president, which was again unjust law. Again in 2002, he held a referendum and asked the people, do you see me as the president? So people said yes, and this granted him 5-year extension. But then a lot of people felt that this was based on fraud, because a lot of people does not want to see him in reality. People do not want to see him as the president of the country. Now what happened? So in August 2002, again what he did, he wanted to increase his own powers. So he issued a legal framework order whereby he did two things. First, he amended the constitution, and this president, he gave himself powers that the national and provincial assemblies will be dismissed. And secondly, one more thing we got to know, that here first thing, he amended the constitution. Second, he dismissed the national and provincial assemblies that were already there. Second, the civil cabinet, which was led by the National Security Council, now were under the control of military. Which means that they do not have, the civilian do not have their own powers. Now what happened next was, ultimately what happened, elections happened to the newly elected national and provincial assemblies, but the final decision making power was either in the hands of General Pervez Musharraf or in the hands of military. So with this we get our first we can say feature of democracy, whereby in democracy the final decision making power must rest with those who are elected by the people. So people should elect their leaders, and rest, the final decision will be taken by the leaders who are elected by the people. Second story which we go by, China and Mexico. In China, elections are held after 5 years. After 5 years they have their election, and what do they elect? They elect the country's parliament, and the name of the elected country's parliament will be Kuango Renmin Daibyo Dawi, and this is also known as National People's Congress. Alright, what will happen? So the National People Congress, what is the main power of the National People Congress was to appoint the president of the country. So the president of the country is appointed by the National People Congress. Alright, now what happens in China? Now in this particular country, this particular we can say National People Congress, what do they do? Nearly 3,000 members elected from all over China. So this is also one more point. But some members elected by the army. Okay, some are civilian, which are elected all over China, and some are the from army. Okay, now what happens? But here is a catch. Before contesting elections, a candidate needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. So which means this party again has the control, this party has the dominance. This party is having the dominance. So whosoever is contesting election, they have to take the approval. Either they are 3,000 members, either they are army members, they have to take the approval of one country, one particular party, that is Chinese Communist Party. They have the control, they have the dominance. So only those who are members of the Chinese Communist Party or 8 smaller parties allied with them. So either Chinese Communist Party or 8, which is one and the same thing, to it were allowed to contest election in 2020, 2002 and 3, which means they are dominated. So there is one party system in China. So government is always formed by Communist Party, which means there is a dominance, which means hereby there is a dominance of one party. Dominance of one party, and this party is Chinese Communist Party, whereby in China we can say that it is not democratic in nature, the entire system, whereby there is only one party, and apart from all the people, they have to take approval, which is again control, which is again against the morals and principles of democracy. And the next part we come by is Mexico. Okay, both of them are giving us the same feature, so we are doing it together. So since its independence in 1930 Mexico got its independence and hold election every after 6 years, and they are also electing their president. Now what is the catch here? But until 2000, every election was won by one party, that is known as Institutionally Revolutionary Party. We take it on a reciprocal way. So it is Institutional Revolutionary Party, PRI. Okay, Institutional Revolutionary Party, but we always say PRI. Again, this PRI, as in China's case, we see Chinese Communist Party is the dominant party. Similar goes with this case of Mexico, whereby PRI, that is Institutional Revolutionary Party, is the dominant party. Now what happens here? So hereby everything, or we can say every decision is taken by this party. They are harassing some of the individuals. They are talking, if we take the case of teachers, if we take the case of government teachers, government schools, everyone is threatened. If you will not vote for this particular party, you will be, you cannot stay here. So people are, basically they are threatened and they are bribed. If you will not vote for this particular party, you will not be able to stay happy. So again, this is not democracy. Democracy does not give you, challenges regarding this, taking votes, okay, bribing people. So the second feature will be a democracy must be based on free and fair election. Hereby free and fair election means that you cannot do fraud, malpractices with the people. Okay, where those currently in power have fair chance of losing, whereby only one party is winning again, whereby all the parties should have fair chance of losing. It is not like everyone is winning again and again. It is somewhat they have to lose as well, right? So this is the second feature of democracy. Now the third. The third feature is the third feature we learn about from three different situations. First is Estonia. Estonia has made citizenship rules in such a way that people belonging to Russian minority find it difficult to get right to vote, whereby in Estonia people who are from different region find it difficult to vote. Again, this is against the rule of democracy. In democracy, it is said that people who belong to people who are in the particular country have right to vote. Everyone will get right to vote. This is universal adult franchise. 18 plus people who are living in this particular country will get right to vote. So this first feature again is absent in we can say Estonia. Second, in Fiji, the electoral system is made in such that the vote of an indigenous Fiji has more value than of an Indian Fiji, whereby we say in democratic system, if we compare the democratic system, there is one vote, one man will get one vote and one vote will have one value. So it's not like that indigenous Fijians are getting more value than the Indian Fijians. So indigenous Fiji means people who are the natives of Fijians, right? And Indian Fiji means people are from India and they went to Fiji. So basically it means that everyone should get equal value. Next, in the voting system, and in Saudi Arabia, if we talk about women, they did not have a right to vote. So this was until 2005. Okay, until 2005. Now people are women are also having right. Women are also treated equally as men. So now this is a third feature of democracy which we got, that in democracy each adult citizen must have one vote. Everyone should get one vote. Adult citizen means 18 plus by the universal adult suffrage or universal adult franchise, and each vote must have one value, which means that every individual is treated equally. Every individual is equal regarding their caste, religion and their gender. Right? So we get the third feature of democracy. Now we have the third story of Zimbabwe. Now in this Zimbabwe, what happened again? If we see, Zimbabwe attained independence from white minority rule in 1980. So basically it was a colony of British, and in 1980 they got their independence, Zimbabwe. Since then, the country again has been ruled by ZANU-PF. Who is ZANU-PF? ZANU-PF is the party that led the freedom struggle. Again, this party is we can say a strong party, or it is a dominant party. Let us see next. So the President Mugabe is a popular leader, but this Mugabe leader, he is a popular leader. He actually helped the entire country to gain independence, but he is a popular leader. But this popular leader is using unfair practices, malpractices and fraud. So President Mugabe is a popular leader, but also uses unfair practices in elections. Again, this is a very sad situation. Over the years, his government has changed the constitution several times to increase the power of the president and make him less accountable. So which means he has changed the constitution again and again. He has amended the constitution again and again so that he can get ample amount of powers, which is against the ethics and morals of democracy. Now in this case, whereby the leader is having lots and lots of power, will definitely what happens? The accountability between the leader and the people, they are not that great. So in that case, what happens? This leader has also used unfair practices he has played regarding the constitution. So when you are amending the constitution so that you can get ample amount of powers, you are playing with the constitution, right? You are playing with the constitution and you are not happy with the rule of law. So this law says that, rule of law says that when there is constitution, you have to respect the constitution, and rule of law says that everyone is equal in the eyes of law, be it the popular leader, be it anyone from the village, be it any person from any different caste, creed, gender, class. Everyone is equal in the eyes of law, whereby nobody is above law. Nobody is above law. So hereby President Mugabe has deteriorated all the things regarding the constitution and gave himself a lot of power, which is against the spirit of democracy. We got the fourth point. So this particular example of Zimbabwe shows that popular approval of the rulers is necessary in a democratic, but it is not sufficient. We need popular leaders, approval of the popular leaders, but that is necessary, but that is not sufficient. Then popular government can be undemocratic, popular leaders can be autocratic. The leaders they are popular, but they can be undemocratic, they can be autocratic, they can be very much dominating. So the fourth feature is in our screen, is there in our screen. The democratic government rules within set by the constitution, law and citizens' right, whereby if you are in a democratic government, you have to follow what your constitution says. You have to follow what your constitution laws are telling. Okay, and you have to respect the citizens' rights. Okay, so with this, my dear students, we have done 4 features of democracy with 4 stories. Right? Now there are a lot of people who say that democracy is good and some of the people who say democracy is bad. So we have arguments for democracy, we have arguments against democracy, but we cannot say one is right and one is wrong, because in social studies, in society, there is nothing called right and wrong. Okay, everything, yes, things can be morals, things can have morality ground, but we cannot tag things as right or wrong. Okay, so we all have our own opinions regarding the society's view and structure. So these are the arguments for democracy, why democracy is good. They are saying that democratic government is better, because we are not saying democracy government is best. We always say that democracy's government is better than other forms of government. We are not saying democracy is the one-step solution, democracy is like on the top. We never say that. So democratic government is better because it is more accountable form of government, whereby the people are very much accountable to them. People are very much accountable. Like people can actually have discussion with their leaders. They are accountable, they are reachable, okay, in democracy. Second, democracy improves the quality of decision making. It improves the quality of decision making. The decision making quality is improved, whereby there are a lot of leaders to reach about, okay, whereby there are a lot of leaders. Next is democracy provides a method to deal with differences and conflicts, whereby when we have a lot of people, when we have a lot of conflict, democracy provides a method. Democracy provides a method that yes, everyone is equal, everyone should be treated equal, everyone should be given their own life rights, right? So this definitely democracy provides a method to deal with differences and conflicts. Democracy enhances the dignity of citizen. As I told you, in democracy, citizens are given a lot of rights, citizens are given a lot of values. So in that case, when citizens are provided with a lot of value, it again holds a very big deal in the hearts of the citizen, and things are really gone nicely, okay. It enhances the dignity of citizens. Democracy allows us to correct our own mistakes. For example, I have chosen a leader A and I have elected leader A, but when leader A came into power, he is not going by my promises. So in the next election time, I will not choose that particular leader. So whereby I have corrected my own mistake. In the next elections, I will not vote for him and I'll get a good leader who will work by my promises, right? So these are the arguments for democracy, whereby people like democracy because of these reasons. The next point will be the next part will be why people, are against democracy. Why are people against democracy? We are not saying against and for their right and wrong. We just say that people have different opinions, and we respect people's opinions regarding democracy. So some of the people are against democracy. Let us see why they are against democracy. First of all, they are saying that leaders keep changing in democracy. After every 5 years, there is a different leader. So it brings instability. Okay, it brings instability. So people who are not happy with a lot of leaders face this kind of issue. Okay, because leaders keep on changing. Right. Second point, democracy is all about political competition. They are saying it is based on political competition, and people think that is a power play. People think it is all regarding power. No leader is there to actually help people. So everyone is against the power. There is no scope for morality. Everyone is going and they are wishing to be the leader in democracy because they want power. So this is the second reason which is against democracy. So many people have to be consulted in democracy that it leads to delay. Now they are saying because there are so many people, it is accountable form of government. Everyone has to deal. All the leaders have to listen to the lot of people. Their population problem, so it leads to delay. So this is a third reason which is against people who are against democracy. Next point, elected leaders do not know the best interest of the people. It leads to bad decisions, because now what happened here, elected leaders, some of the leaders who are elected, we are saying elected leaders do not know the best interest of the people. Okay, because a lot of people, okay, and every person's need has to be accounted by the leader. So because a lot of people and a lot of leaders do not know what is best for people, so it leads to bad decisions. A lot of bad decisions are taken place because of this, right? So bad decisions means because people do not know what is good for them, they take bad decisions which ultimately do hamper the entire situation of the country. Next, democracy leads to corruption, for it is based on electoral competition, because again there is the power play, again people are there for power, and it leads to corruption because they use unfair means. Okay, corruption means they use unfair means. Okay, they use unfair means, and these unfair means are not at all good for the people. Next, ordinary people don't know what is good for them. They should not decide anything. So it is for the ordinary people. Ordinary people do not know. Ordinary people Ordinary people, they do not know what is their best interest. So ordinary people actually do not know how to participate in democracy, so they do not know what is good for them, what is bad for them. They choose leaders like this randomly. So they vote for random people and random people become leaders of the country. So this is what the people want to say who are against democracy. Right, and the last part we understand that this will be the entire ending of the chapter. This is how we have done a quick revision of the entire chapter. So broader meaning of democracy. Democracy is only limited to the books. Is it only limited to what we understand? It is more than that. Yes. So most common form of democracy takes in our times is that of representative democracy, whereby we choose our leaders, and because there are lot of people choose their leaders and they represent. A lot of people cannot become, we say democracy as people's government. A lot of people cannot leave their work and come in the power play. So they choose the representative where majority is allowed to take decision on behalf of the people. So majority is taking decision on behalf of the people. This is called representative democracy. Now the majority of the people rule through their elected representatives. So now all the people are ruling. Everyone is ruling. I am also ruling. Everyone those who are in democracy, everyone is ruling, but they are ruling through their elected representative, because we all have different works to do in our lives. So we cannot leave all our works and then we can just go and handle the we can say government. It is very difficult task. So we choose our elected representatives. A democratic decision involves consultation with and consent of those who are affected by the decision. So hereby consultation is happening, consent is taken of a lot of people and who are affected by decision. People are also affected by the decision. Whatever decision it has to be taken, everyone is affected by it. Right. Next is democracy is a principle that can be applied to any sphere of life. Definitely, it is not limited to books and whatever we study in class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. It is more than that. For example, democracy can apply to a government or a family or any other organization. So we can say proudly that this class is a democratic class. Why? Because whatever you say, the teacher is listening to you. Okay, and we are working for it. So anything we can say, our family is a democratic family whereby everyone has their own say, nobody is dominating. So we can use democracy, and democracy's principle can be used in different forms as well. All right, my dear students, with this we completed our ultimate recap for the chapter, what is democracy, why democracy. If you have any doubt, you can write in the comment section and we'll meet in the next class soon. Bye bye children, see you next time.